What's up, friends? Welcome back to Rooted Wisconsin. Appreciate you for clicking another episode. Grateful to have you here. Today's episode is with the Maple Dude, aka Tim Sternitzky. I hope I said that right. I've been watching Tim's stuff on social media for a while. I make maple syrup as a passion of mine, and it's kind of a little family project that my dad and I do. And that's how it started for Tim. And it's grown to a whole lot more than that. You might have seen the Maple Dude maple syrup in grocery stores near you. You might have seen him making funny videos on social media with his daughter making fun of him, and a whole lot more. It's grown. It's awesome to see a Wisconsin-based maple business doing really well. He uses Smoky Lake maple equipment, which I'm really partial to too. Jim and Angela have been good friends for a long time now, and great to see what he's grown his business into. And we talk about how daunting it must have been to decide that he was going to make maple syrup for a business, because as someone who makes maple syrup and as someone who's slightly addicted to entrepreneurship, I wouldn't consider doing it as a full-time job. It's always something goes wrong. You make 10 cents an hour doing it. It's really laborious. And the cool thing about it is the fruit's worth the reward at the end. So we talk about his maple business. We talk about his path to entrepreneurship, growing up on a dairy farm in central Wisconsin, and that being his connection to maple syrup. And we end up kind of getting into a bunch of conversation about reconnecting with the outdoors and how important that is, and how tech is changing society and how we live, and our connection to food, and a whole lot of really fun topics. So hope you enjoy. As always, shout out to our sponsors at Carouser, non-alcoholic social beverages delivered right to your door. Hopefully your New Year's revolution is drinking less alcohol, and if it is, let Carouser help. Carouser.com, make your order, and take the next step away from alcohol. Also, big shout out to Epic Mortgage. Appreciate them coming on board. Epic Mortgage, care and community is what they're all about. Looking to help you get into your next home. Home buying process is wild right now, and having someone in your corner can be super helpful. Epic Mortgage can definitely do that for you. And one final shout out coming on board is genuineLynn, based out of De Pere, but can make all different types of promotional material and apparel for your business. genuineLynn, actually a colleague of mine and his wife, run the business together, and just fantastic people doing an awesome job with apparel. They make a bunch of apparel for their local high school and a whole lot more. So check them out. genuineLynn, they made a bunch of cool Rooted Wisconsin gear that you can get. All you got to do is hit me up, and we'll get you set up. Without further ado, though, let's jump on in. Here's the Maple Dude.
As the years have passed, so have the ways. We've tried to lift our neighbors. Where did the love go? Where did the talk end? We need some help to make this better again.
So my go-to lately is to start the episode. I've been telling the story about how I used to do this like intro. Did you watch any of the episodes of the podcast?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you see anywhere I used to look in the camera and do the intro?
Yeah.
That would make people so nervous, man. So nervous. And
You're looking at that camera or what?
that's what I would do. But then I would start the episode, and I would come to the guest, and every time they'd be just sweating bullets, man. So I don't do it anymore. I record the intro separately, and then now we just kind of start talking, and wherever it naturally starts the episode is where we'll cut it and go. But yeah, I don't know. I'm excited to chat with you, man. I've been watching your social stuff for a while.
Oh, really? Well,
yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, I've been doing that for quite a while. I mean, I didn't even actually have any social media until I started to use it for my business.
Yep.
So, it just was something that I played around with, and, I've found that I kind of liked it overall. I mean, I feel like I don't want to spend too much time on social media myself, though, but I have fun making the content.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's been a learning curve like that, like here being here today, learning about the podcast and everything. It's stuff I'm interested in.
Was it a big part of your business growing?
I do believe that social media probably, without that, I don't know if I'd be doing what I'm doing for a living.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? In some regard, I feel like if you have a very small business like me, it's a small business. How else in today's world are you going to market yourself? Really? I mean, like radio or print or TV, it's just not what the thing is now. And it does give you an avenue for anybody to, put yourself out there and, get seen and stuff like that. I mean, you can talk about, I'm sometimes frustrated with the amount, of followers or subscribers that I have where how many actually see the content,
Yeah.
like what the companies let go
Yeah.
through without. I think they want me to pay
Mm-hmm.
to get a lot more, but that sometimes can be a little bit frustrating, but it's some do better than others. And I mean, I feel like it's helped give my the Maple Dude a brand. I mean, and that's kind of the way I came up with that name to start with was, Tim's maple syrup, like nobody's probably going to really remember that. And there's a lot of maple syrup being made in Wisconsin. So I just was like originally trying to think of, something unique, something. And actually that was probably I think the reason I came up with that name was it was back in the day, it was a password that I was using for like online accounts and stuff like that.
Hopefully not anymore.
Yeah, I mean, there you go, everybody. Just hack in there and you won't get rich.
So that's how you came up with the name. It was a password and that was
Yeah,
it?
I mean, that's just kind of, like I called myself the Maple Dude, or it was like a handle on, like back in the day, I grew up on how I got into it. I grew up on a really small dairy farm in Clark County, Wisconsin. Clark County, Wisconsin is still the biggest dairy farming county in the United States. And I grew up in Clark County, Wisconsin, very rural area. Back in that time, everybody, I mean, this was the early 90s. I'm getting old. But,
Me too, man.
yeah.
Me too.
I mean, every kid that I went to school with, almost, we were dairy farming kids. We grew up, on the farm. And these were all these small dairy farms, which there aren't a whole lot of those left. There's very, very few of those left. Few out there, but not many. And part of that whole culture was maple syrup production as part of a little thing offshoot of the farm. Every farm had a woods, a wood lot in the back 40 or whatever. And that's kind of how I, learned about it. Because my dad and my grandpa, I just very primitive. Like very, very, very primitive. You probably would have thought we were maybe making something else out in the woods.
Yeah.
Like cooking something illegal.
Yeah.
I mean, it was nothing fancy about this setup. But that's kind of how I learned how to do it. And, over the years, it just kind of evolved slowly from that level. I mean, like I was playing around with it at that level for a while until I, figured, I wanted to do more with this. And then I guess kind of getting back around to the password thing. This was back in the day before social media, before Facebook, before, like where you can go on there now and see these groups, and talk maple syrup and stuff. There were these websites that were kind of essentially message boards. And that's kind of where I started trying to learn more about it beyond what I knew. But I mean, my dad and my grandpa taught me the basics. So that's how I got started. And that was I think that was like my handle on these old websites, back in around 98, 99, 2000, something like that.
Talk about invaluable though, because something a lot of people don't know about maple syrup is it's very hard. To learn the process from start to finish is a lot. And I mean, at that time, you're probably cone filtering with your folks on the dairy farm.
Right.
And like, how do you learn how to do it professionally without having access to something like that? It's super interesting what you said, though. That's something I've never thought about. as the maple syrup industry in Wisconsin, but it makes so much sense. One of the guys that helps us out on our operation does it because it reminds him of his childhood on his farm.
Oh, yeah.
And man, I can think of more than a handful of people in my head of maple producers that I know that started on a farm. I've never put that together.
Oh, yeah. I think it's a very, not everywhere. I mean, northern Wisconsin, there's going to be less farms, than kind of central where I grew up. So maybe it's not entirely all tied to it there, but definitely a large part of it was it's kind of got a past of a dairy farming culture behind it, which is what I grew up in. And
so what was that first setup? The one out in the woods? What were you boiling on?
Yeah, I mean, it was like like a 4 foot by 8 foot tin pan. This thing wasn't even stainless steel. Sitting over a homemade, actually there was one out in the woods that was built into the ground. Like there was kind of dirt piled up and like cinder blocks in there, and so you could just throw wood in underneath it. There was one of those, and then we had some very primitive like steel arches that weren't anything fancy. They were made with like I-beams and stuff like that, and that's all that my grandpa and dad wanted to do with it, is just kind of, let's make some for ourselves and the family members. And there really wasn't any regulations in regards to that type of thing. But if you're, so that's how it was very primitive. And we didn't even have a roof over our heads. It was out in the open.
Yeah.
I mean, if it was snowing or raining, we'd like get a big old piece of like sheet metal and put it over the pan. And it was pretty rough.
That's one of my favorite questions to talk about with other folks that make maple, because it's really fun to talk about the new cool stuff that we have, but I like hearing people's first setup with it.
Oh yeah, we'd throw tires in there in the it looked like a freight train.
Yeah. One of my favorite stories from starting maple syrup, we had a similar thing where I went and bought my first rig from this guy in the middle of nowhere, UP. His name was Hubie LaRue. Really cool guy, super interesting. And I brought it home and I put it under a freestanding. It was pretty much like I had an outdoor wood boiler, so it was for my firewood, but it had no walls. And I can't remember if it was the first or second year I did it. It was something my dad and I were going to do together.
Mm-hmm.
And he drove up, and it was going to be a terrible weekend of weather. 40-mile-an-hour winds, 15 degrees, just cold as hell. And I had to work on Friday, but we had a shitload of sap to boil.
Okay.
So, and at this, we were on like a 4x6 flat pan. So 7 gallons an hour, like can't boil anything off. And I had to work on Friday. And I'll never, ever forget coming home from work. And my dad, who's a pretty old school, like tough guy, cuddled in his overalls next to the maple syrup evaporator.
Right.
And he gives me this look like, what kind of hobby did you pick up for us? And we've come a long way since then. But I think it's that roots of maple that I think draw us all in, man. Thinking about those first setups that we had and how we learned to do it,
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's a lot of memories with it, I mean, just a lot of memories with that. And again, with my grandpa who passed away many, many years ago. But, my dad's still alive and kicking. And in the current operation, he still tries to help how he can, so that's carried on to today.
I think you made a video about that this year. You made a video about your dad still helping. I can't remember it was about his part of the process. What does he do now? Is it labels?
He gets up there if we're running the bottling machine. He'll be at the end of the line putting on the labels and taping the boxes, and actually during the production season, he will still like sit at the evaporator, and as the syrup's, coming out, being drawn off as it's finished, he'll basically add the filter aid and to the syrup and run it through the filter press.
Okay.
Yeah. So
nice.
He can do that for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And man, and in all honesty, for me, every year when it rolls around, I just think about not doing it because it's so much work.
It's a lot of work.
And every year I think about not doing it, but what keeps me coming back is just spending time with my dad. That's it.
Yeah.
Like it's fun. It's fun for a weekend.
That's what I see a lot of with the hobbyists is, and I mean, I'm not saying I feel a whole lot. You get towards like about the third or fourth week, it starts becoming a little bit of a drag because it's, unless it's frozen all day long, this is every day, all day. I mean, not all day, but sometimes if we have a really big, super big sap run, some of those times when it doesn't freeze at night and it runs all night long, those are the ones that kill you.
Yep.
Because you're there all day and, we go late into the night to keep up with it. And, that's even with more efficient equipment and stuff too. So,
yep.
Yeah, it's a lot of work for sure. People, I don't think, realize how much work it is.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, even now, when I get to the fourth or fifth weekend, it's time to button it up. We're pulling these bags, Dad. Like, I need a break.
Yep. Yeah, I hear that a lot from guys. It seems like they've had enough. It's not even over with, but they're done.
Yeah, we did that this year. I think we pulled probably a week too early this year. We could have had one more boil.
Okay.
But it just gets to the point where it's, and that's my ongoing joke. People, because like I'll sell them a jar or something, and then people will say, "Well, you must make good money doing this." I said, 10 cents an hour if I'm lucky. Like, I'm definitely not doing it for the money.
No, you're not doing it for the hourly rate that you're receiving. For sure.
No, I'm doing it for my next pan I'm gonna need or whatever it is.
Right.
That's another thing. It looks, you use some Smoky Lake equipment, right?
Yeah. I do. I sell their equipment too.
Nice.
Yeah. So
I quickly moved to their stuff from that first setup I bought, and man, Jim and Angela make some good stuff, dude. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, very high quality. I'd say if you're a hobbyist, that's the way to go. And it's a Wisconsin company here too. So
yeah, like how many taps do you do now, and what does your setup look like? Like, I'd love to see it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're ever in that area, or traveling through, you definitely come see it. I mean, on the grand scheme of things, from a hobbyist standpoint, you're going to say, wow, it's really big. But from the standpoint of, like, if you compare it to operations, say in Vermont is the number one maple syrup state, it's not by any means huge level on those regards. We're boiling down around from like 13 to 14,000 taps in that range. But, you can go and talk about really, in Wisconsin, there's some pretty large operations, larger, but like if you go into the Northeast, like Vermont and stuff, I mean, there's, 50, 60,000 tap and up operations. But yeah, so that's what we're doing. And,
So then what are you running for evaporators? Like, how much pan space do you have to even boil that off?
We have it's a 3.5 foot wide by 14 foot long unit, and it's natural gas, so we don't burn wood anymore. So that actually does help with the labor, less work.
Oh yeah.
But we do that, and then we also do of course, you have to, when you start talking about those amounts, you got to do a reverse osmosis.
Yep.
So that's what we use is reverse osmosis machine, and that we're taking like 80% of the water out of the sap over 80% actually, before it starts getting boiled down by that evaporator. So that's a huge time and, fuel savings to do something like that.
Yeah, we haven't dipped into the RO yet. Haven't done that. What'd you find with the switch from wood to gas? Is it's not crazy expensive with using that much natural gas?
No, natural gas was pretty affordable. The last several years that I've had this unit, it wasn't bad. I mean, I think it got to be when we were still doing wood fired, I was buying the firewood because it was just so hard to make it ourselves and have time for that.
You must
need
so much boiling.
Yeah. To where I don't think I could have, I think this was cheaper than buying the firewood.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did you sell all your old wood evaporators then?
Yeah, I sold that back then and went to this unit.
So if you're 3 feet by 14 feet, you've got to be pretty much, that thing starts at the beginning of season and you don't turn it off.
Yeah, I mean, it's not overly huge for what we're doing, but it gets the job done. I mean, it's probably can do with the reverse osmosis we're doing, basically, like a 55-gallon drum.
Sure.
One of those an hour we can fill.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
That's amazing to me, man. That's amazing because I can get probably 25 gallons an hour. 20.
Well, I'm saying 55 gallons an hour of syrup.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah,
I was going to
yep.
say, yeah, that's wild.
Yeah. Like a 55-gallon drum of maple syrup will fill that in roughly an hour.
That makes a lot more
Yeah,
sense.
pretty close to an hour.
Man. So how long has it been a business for you?
Well, I would say over the course of 20 plus years, from a very small hobby sideline where I'm selling a few, bottles here and there, to a part-time business, to now I do it full-time, which has been in January. I made the leap to do that. I think it's 3 or 4 years ago. I can't quite remember, but yeah, if it's 3 or 4. But yeah, at that time, I went to be like, I'm just going to do this full time. So yeah, it's been, quite a gradual growing over those years, as a side business, side hustle to doing it full time.
Okay. And to take it full time, you almost have to be obsessed with efficiency, right? To take this full time.
I mean, yeah, you want to be efficient. You definitely, it's kind of like at the level, where I'm at with a small business like this, I do have I've got seasonal help during the season. I have 2 or 3 other guys that'll help, go to the different woods that we tap, haul the sap in. I got to give a shout out to one guy. He'll never see this. He's an Amish man.
Nice.
His name is Albert Borntrager, but he is 70 years old and he's been working with me probably about 5 or 6 years. And this guy, you wouldn't believe the way this man works at 70 years old. No kidding. He's like a 30-year-old guy. I mean, he's incredible. He treats it like it's his own business. I'm not kidding. I mean, he cares about it that much and helping me out and getting the trees tapped and getting the lines set up in the woods and just all that type of thing. Great guy. Couldn't do it without him. And then, a couple other guys, Bobby and Oleg, and these are older guys, retired guys that help with it. And then my dad helps a bit. And let's see, my son, Jack, when he just graduated high school last year. So now he's working full time, but in the wintertime, maple season, he's going to be freed up a little bit to help out a little bit more too. So, and then, I've had part-time employees in the shop, in the world headquarters, the store. There.
I love how you call it the world headquarters too. It's so funny. So it's pretty lean, man. It's pretty lean operation.
I mean, it's like you're at that level where, labor is a big expense. So you kind of got to juggle a lot yourself. And sometimes, I'll be honest, it can feel a little bit overwhelming, for sure. Even outside of the maple production season in March and April, just getting the orders filled and, getting that done and doing the marketing of it, with the social media, that's a whole nother, it's another job almost, so there's a lot of different things to make a living in that business. 'Cause I would say it's very rare for a person to actually make a living doing that as the only thing.
Yeah.
Super rare.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Back to because of that 10 cents an hour thing.
Yeah.
That's why I asked about efficiency, because you have, in order to be able to actually make money and live off of it, you have to do all the things you just said. And that kind of leads me into another question. And it's actually 2 sides of things that I wanted to talk with you about. One was getting, you're in a bunch of grocery stores and stuff, which is awesome. How did you learn and develop all those relationships to get that distribution? Let's start there.
I mean, it was just kind of, so I live in Marshfield, pretty much right in the center of Wisconsin. We had a Festival Foods, or still do have a Festival Foods in town there. And I remember, I think that was the very first store I approached, and I just kind of went in there and went to the customer service desk. Hey, could I talk to somebody about this? Typically in store level, when it's, you know, more of a corporate structure, they can't make that type of decision.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I just got in touch then with somebody who was able to make a decision. They gave it a chance, started bringing it into that store alone, a couple different sizes of maple syrup. And then from there, after a while, I can't remember how long that goes. That was probably like 10 years ago, or something like that. But from there, I had a contact within Festival Foods, within the company. And then the guy was, I had an ear that he would listen to me, and they expanded it to like 15 stores. And at that time, when they went to 15 stores, I had to distribute it myself, and oddly enough, most of those 15 stores were over here in the Green Bay, Appleton, Neenah, all in this area over here, the Eastern Wisconsin Festival Foods. And that's where they went with it. And so once a month, I had to contact each store, get their order, and then the receiving at all these stores, I think, closes at like 1 or something like that. So I had to, load it all up, get that order together, run over here and hit all 15 of these locations before 12 or 1, whenever that was. So, and I did that for a few years. I mean, I'm glad I don't do it anymore. I was fine letting that go. Since then, Festival took it to all their stores in the state, which is like 40 some or whatever. But now I have a distributor that does that. So they pick it up for me at my location, and then they take it along with other products that they distribute. So
that took a ton off your plate. Yeah.
I wouldn't want to go back to doing that way. No, I'm glad.
Especially to 15 stores.
Yeah. I mean, let alone, I remember one time when I made the jump from the 15 to the 40, whatever, we didn't get a distributor lined up in time. And I had to do all 40 some myself one time. I was on the road 2 nights, staying in motels.
That's amazing. I figured that had to be a leap, man, because for growing from, where you did to where you are.
Yeah.
That seemed like, in my mind, thinking about the business lens of it, that had to be one of the bigger jumps to make. And then I think the next consideration that comes into my mind is, like, I'm trying to think of the last 3 or 4 years. Have you had a lean year yet where it was a bad run?
The last few have been pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm thinking way back. I don't know, this one sticks out in my mind, was 2012, and that's a long time ago now. But I remember that was a season where there was really almost nothing. It got to be March, and it warmed up to like 80 degrees. And I mean, it was like over in 3 days. Luckily that happened then, when it wasn't something I relied on it was just, very much hobby level at that point. And, so I remember that it was very, very, very almost non-existent that year. Since then, they've been pretty decent since then. I mean, always, and part of that reason why that can kind of happen is because of some of the advancements in the technology with maple production, the vacuum tubing. Essentially, you're creating the conditions for sap to flow artificially. If the trees don't want to run, you'll get it from vacuum, where they don't want to run on the old-fashioned dripping method, So that's why that's helped that too, being able to have that type of system.
Yeah.
To overcome problems maybe with, it won't totally overcome it, but it will definitely give you a lot more than you would otherwise.
100%. Yeah. I've heard a lot about it. I've never even looked at a vacuum setup. What, like, that has to be one of the, just thinking through how it would work, air tightness has to be crucial.
Yeah.
Right? So squirrel chews a hole in your line.
Exactly.
Something like that. That's got to be headaches, right?
Oh, it's terrible. I mean, that's what we're doing right now. And this start to this winter has been kind of cold. I mean, we've been the last couple of weeks going out into these sugar bushes, and fixing up lines and all that type of damage. I mean, it's kind of crazy when you think about it. You're putting this network up of lines all over in the woods that you use for 4 weeks out of the year in a place where nothing but stuff is going to fall on it, and critters are going to eat it.
Yeah.
But so yeah, it's a lot of maintenance, but during that time, it's a huge ton of labor savings and way more increased production.
Right.
So, that's the trade-off.
Yeah. Yeah. And then what are you doing? You're vacuuming that to big holding tanks, and then you just probably drive around with a truck that you can transport hundreds of gallons
Yep.
on.
That's pretty much it. Yeah.
It's fascinating, man. I love how everybody does it a little differently. And you probably still find that even like, you've probably gone and like saw some other big old facilities, right? And there's probably intricacies that even at that level, people do it in different ways, right?
Oh yeah. I think everybody's got their own practices and methods and stuff like that, definitely seen some. You don't really see them during the season too much because you're busy, yourself. But, I've visited some different places in the past. And, I think it's like you kind of you went back to what you were saying before about being efficient. I wouldn't say that I am the most techno. I guess what I'm trying to say is I haven't spent money on every latest new thing. I've been like kind of selective on what I think I really need versus do I really have to have that? Because you can spend a ton of money on that hobby and or business. You can spend money endlessly on it. It's incredible how much money you can spend to make maple syrup.
Yeah. Stainless is high.
Yeah. And I feel like I've been able to, that's what I've done to a degree, is kind of spend it on stuff that I really need, but not maybe so much stuff that I don't, and still be able to get the job done.
Sure.
So I'm not super in debt over this whole operation.
Yeah. I think of more of efficiency. Like the equipment is great, but there's always the next best thing. There's always this next great thing that comes out. I think of efficiency in process, because there's always something that you can do to increase your yields, make your boiling faster.
Yeah.
In process, I think. So like one thing I did this year is I started making my warming pan run lower. Like I ran my level lower in my warming pan so it warmed up hotter
faster,
and it didn't kill the boil as much. A little thing like that can make a big difference. That can be a couple gallons an hour.
Right.
Like that's what I think of efficiency, and that's what kind of keeps me coming back to it, because I love solving a problem.
Try to do it better.
Yeah, I love solving a problem, So I don't know. What area, like where have you seen your hurdles in scaling to where you have? What's been the biggest, like, oh shit, this is a lot more work than putting in a couple hundred taps? Is it that tubing or is it something else?
What's the most work?
Yeah. What was the biggest hurdle that you ran into that maybe you didn't expect when you scaled to where you are now compared to that couple hundred taps and selling to your neighbors?
I mean, I would say, honestly, going back to the distribution of the product, I would say that was probably the biggest hurdle or the hardest one. I found that since then, I mean, we do have distribution into the Meijer stores too, in Wisconsin and in Chicago area and in the UP. But since then, it's hard to find the right person to talk to in these bigger companies when you're a small guy.
Yeah.
That's what, honestly, I would say that to anybody who wants to, maybe has ideas of wanting to do something like this. That is the hard part. That's what I saw as the hard part. If you wanted to get your product distributed to a bigger level, I feel like there's a lot more competition in this tiny little niche industry of maple production than there used to be. It had a big growth in the last like 10, 15 years or so. Maybe that 15 is a little far back, but it did really have a lot of growth of people getting into it. And there's a lot of people out there trying to sell it, this, that, or the other thing. And some people are on the level of going to the farmers markets, this and that. And I did that too back then. But yeah, I mean, going to another level, if that's what you want to do, is get distribution to stores. I found that very hard to get people to call you back
For sure.
to even want to talk to you.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. The funniest part about that, I think, is I don't even know if you did it, but when you were explaining it, you said, if anybody wants to try this, like there have to be days when you wake up in the heart of maple season and you just think, why did I bite this off?
Oh, yes, I definitely think that. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
It's just one of those things, man, that like, there's the adage, like if there's something that can go wrong, it will. It just seems like that's maple syrup. Like you got to be able to ride the wave and go with it, because there's always going to be something that you didn't even think of that's going to potentially wreck your day.
Oh, yeah.
There's one this year. Go ahead.
Well, I was just trying to think of a funny little story. This is back like one of the first years when I got into the world headquarters. That's my current building, like you said. And we were bottling quarts of maple syrup, and I didn't even have good like storage racks or anything back then. I think I maybe robbed one out of my garage. Those plastic ones with the plastic poles and the different. I decided it was a good idea to put a whole bunch on that.
Oh no!
Nice. And then left the room, came back, and I think we had like about 200 or 300 bottles just collapse and fall all over the floor, and it was glass and maple syrup everywhere. So yeah, that was like one of those days. What the heck am I doing? But yeah.
Oh boy, the liquid gold you walk into when you're looking at that that's enough to make a guy quit right there. Man, this year we had one. I still don't know what happened. It was our last filter of the year, and somehow it ended up with these little probably, and it wasn't many. It was maybe 3 dozen jars, something like that. So it's not a ton. But our last boil of the year ended up with like these little floating goobers in it. And I just have no idea. It has me perplexed. Like we take a lot of pride in clean, good tasting product. I don't know if it was maybe the brand of jars didn't seal on the top or something.
This was after you filtered it?
Well, after I filtered it. It looked crystal clear, and it wasn't niter. Like it didn't happen in a week or two.
Must have been, maybe it's mold on
It's got to be a type of mold.
Yeah.
But I don't know why or how.
Possibly not quite hot enough going into the bottle. That's about the only one of the main things.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe it was, 170 going into the bottle.
That might be a little low.
Yeah. Well, that would be way low if it was.
That's a little low.
Because I wasn't there to oversee the operation.
Okay.
This was
it's probably just some bacterial mold growth or something like that.
Yeah. Little low going into the bottle. Could be. I don't know, but that's every year there's something. And for the starting hobbyist, I think most of the time it's filtering, right? Like
that's the hard part.
Yeah. If you can't dial in your filtering, you're not destined for the.
Yeah, that's a big headache. It can really be a big headache.
So are you still, did I hear you earlier? You still, like, even at that scale, you're running through just a big old filter press?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just a bigger one.
All right. More plates, electric.
Yep.
Yeah.
Actually, air pump on it, a pneumatic pump.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Man, and that's one of the most fun things I was excited to talk with you about. Like, I knew there had to be days where it's just like, holy cow, what did I get myself into?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, back at the smaller level, lots. I could say, as we've gotten bigger and more efficient and better equipment, it's gotten a little better. But like back in the original old days, there was a lot of that getting stuck with 4-wheelers and, tractors and all kinds of stuff like that. Just I mean, even burning pans and that happened.
Yeah. In
the transition to, at the building I'm in now versus I had a small shack after I was actually out in the open, but we burned a whole evaporator pan up in there once. So yeah, all that happens.
You burned the whole thing, torched it?
The front one. Yeah. The syrup one. Yeah.
Yeah. I scorched mine. This would have been 2 or 3 years ago. Enough. I can still use it, but it twisted a little bit, and there's a little bit of stuff that I couldn't clean out, and it happens at the snap of a finger.
Oh, yeah, real fast.
Yeah. Yeah. Boy, you gotta love it though. You gotta love it to wake up in the morning. Like you still find joy in it.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I still, even this like past week, we've been out in the woods working on this. It's a little cold, I'll be honest. I mean, one of those days, my feet are the first thing that starts bothering me. I can go out there almost without gloves on. I don't know why, and work in cold weather, and it doesn't really bother me that much. But my feet, and then I just kept going and powered through that till I couldn't feel them anymore, and then I just kept working. But yeah, I mean, the feet, the cold. I don't love the cold as much as I wouldn't say I ever loved it. I like it less and less each year. Like getting out there and trying to, maintain all this stuff in December and January. That part, yeah, I'm getting a little wimpier.
Yeah, for sure. What was your career up to before you decided to do it? What'd you do?
So basically, I've kind of had an interesting path. I've basically done a lot of different things in order to not really have to ever work for anybody.
Sure. Yeah.
I
feel that, man.
That's kind of what I've done. So like I said, I grew up on a dairy farm, small dairy farm, and worked with my dad, helped my dad on that, as long as I have 2 brothers and a sister. And my sister and I were older, and then there was a gap. So my sister and I were more farm kids before the dairy farm. My dad got out of that like a lot of the smaller ones did. But before that happened, I actually liked it enough to want to give it a try myself.
Okay.
So I rented it from my dad and dairy farmed and milked cows and everything for about 2 years. And at that time, it helped me determine I didn't want to do that for the rest of my life, because that's a whole different lifestyle, especially at a small level. Like there used to be so many of them. It's your life. You are tied to it. That is your life, and it's take a special person in this day and age to want to do that as their life.
Mm-hmm.
I realized I wanted more time away and wanted to, do different things and stuff like that. But so yeah, I did that for a couple years, but that was way back in 2000 when we got rid of the dairy herd then. And then, I mean, we still have the farm out there, the land. What I did after that, though, was kind of interesting. Went from a very high maintenance animal, the Holstein dairy cow, to a very low maintenance. I thought it would be interesting to raise bison.
Nice.
Yeah. So we got rid of the dairy cows, but we got this land and this pasture. I thought, why don't we try some bison?
Okay.
Buffalo.
Yeah.
So I bought like 7 bison from a guy that had a bison farm. And I had bison on the farm for nearly 20 years.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. It grew to about 40 some animals. And basically what I did with that was I just sold the meat.
Mm-hmm.
We had them processed and sold the bison meat to people. And they're very, very almost hands off. Like the what we had to do, we had to put a bunch of time into building fence.
Yeah.
At the beginning, I was a little bit worried about that. I thought, I'd heard all these stories, like you got to build a really tall fence for them. Well, the stuff close up to the farm buildings is very, very tall. But then we realized that they're not that bad. Way out to the farther reaches, it's literally like a normal barbed wire fence.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as they have stuff to eat and they're fine with it, they're not going to try to get out. But so yeah, I had that for a long time. Like I said, very easy to take care of. They pretty much just grazed.
Mm-hmm.
That's all they did.
Good hardy winter creatures too. Like,
they never went inside.
yeah.
I mean, they just would sit out the coldest night of the winter. They had never been inside.
Yep.
Inside a building, and fed them round bales in the wintertime,
Mm-hmm.
round bales of hay, and we used to mess around with feeding them water or giving them water. It was such a pain in the butt because the water would always freeze up and stuff like that. We found out they got by just eating snow. And I mean, they're that much undomesticated that they still can live, survive that way. But yeah, I had that for a long time, about 20 years, got rid of them and sold them in 2000 to focus more on the maple syrup business. But during that time, I had a small business where I did mobile auto body repair.
Okay.
So I had an equipment trailer and stuff like this, and I mainly worked with car dealerships, and I did auto body repair on lighter stuff on their inventory and stuff that they wanted to recondition and sell. And I did that for quite a while until I was able to jump from that to the Maple Dude.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Nice.
I actually had, I should mention this, for a few years back in the day, I was partners with my sister and brother, and we owned a couple 24/7 gyms too.
Nice.
Yeah. So a whole bunch of stuff.
I love it.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurship runs through your veins.
Yeah,
man. Yeah. There's something to be said about not wanting to work for somebody though. Like everybody can understand that no matter which path you take, there's days where it's just like, I'm going to be my boss.
Yeah. And that's been kind of me for my whole life. So
yeah. Yeah. I never knew the mobile auto body people existed. I didn't know that was business.
So you're kind of familiar with it. Yeah.
I am now. The last car I bought, I drove it home from the dealership the day I bought it, and it's got like a lift gate.
Yeah.
And I lifted the gate and I drove in my garage, but it was too high, so I got these two big scuffs. So I called the local dealership here. And I was like, "Hey, I did this. I'm an idiot. Like, is there anybody that can fix this?" They're like, "Oh yeah, we got a guy. He's actually out in the back of the lot right now. Come and see him."
Mm-hmm.
And he was exactly that. He had his van full of tools. And he was taking care of the little minor dent sting scratches. And I was like, "Hey man, you think you can fix this up? Like, here's what I did." He's like, yeah, I can't even remember what he charged me. For how good he made it look, it definitely wasn't enough. I feel like it was like $100 or $150. And he's like,
it sounds about right.
Yeah. And he's like, "Yeah, come on back in an hour." Came back, car was fixed, and that's the happiest I've ever spent spending $100.
Yep. I did that for a long time.
Man, that had to put a lot of smiles on people's faces, like friends of yours, like, "Oh, Tim could fix it."
Yeah. Well, I still get that to this day. It's like, "Can you fix this?" And I'm like, "I don't do it anymore. I don't do that anymore. Sorry."
Yeah, you got enough headaches, man.
Too busy with what I'm doing. So
that's cool. What do you think draws you to entrepreneurship? What is your resistance to not wanting to work for somebody else?
I mean, I think probably my farm background, so I grew up, a farm is a farm and it's a small business, and you're working for yourself. So I think that probably really instilled that into me. But I also think that for me, I don't care so much about money rather than experience, like enjoying what I'm doing. Otherwise I wouldn't have done all this stuff that I've done and made the decisions I've made if I were trying to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
I've always been more about like enjoying what I'm doing and, experience and things like that. The experience of it, and it being able to set my own schedule, not really having to, go by someone else's schedule. And that's probably how that started, was growing up on the farm type thing. But, and then just innately in me, I just feel like I want to like what I'm doing more than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
It's
really important, man.
Yeah.
It's really important. I have a real tough time punching a clock too. There's like my living hell is the last like 30 minutes of a clock punch job when everybody's checked out, but they're like waiting for the clock to strike the number when everyone can leave. Talk about a waste of breath.
Yeah.
Like, it's just the epitome of my living hell. And I had one of those and it was brutal, man. So there's a lot of things that can drive you in that direction.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I have one buddy I had a real fascinating conversation with. He said something almost the same way you did about I can't remember exactly how he put it, but it was something along the lines of, I've done a lot of work to make sure that I never had to work for somebody else.
Love that. That's
Yeah.
a great saying.
And I had a long conversation with him about it, and a lot with him, it came down to two things. It was one, he doesn't like to answer to somebody. He doesn't like to
Totally
you know,
get that.
he
Mhm.
likes to make the decision, and then that's what's going to happen, and he doesn't want somebody where he doesn't have that control of the decision.
Yep.
And the second part was that he hadn't thought about as much was he was obsessed. Obsessed is a strong word. He found enjoyment in the knowledge gained of something new. So like, I guess you could go back almost to the obsessed with efficiency thing from
Mhm.
earlier, but just like knowing that every part of the process, and I guess it's kind of a control thing too, is it's back to like, if I see something here, I can make it
Yeah.
change. I can fix it. I can make it to something that I think is better. And does it always go well? No. But as long as satisfaction comes with it, who the hell cares? Because you're not
Right.
going to Boss Bob and saying, hey, this is broken.
Right. Yeah, it's all,
Yeah.
you made the decision and now you got to, deal with the consequences. But,
Yeah.
it's yours.
Does that resonate with you? Do you
Yeah,
think-
definitely.
Yeah.
What you all just said right there kind of almost sounds like what I think, I mean, it is. It's very much the way that I would think,
Yeah.
and the reasons why I do what I do.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah. How do you, I think maybe one of the harder parts in that, and I think I saw a video, this was a month ago, maybe 2 months ago, you were given a tour of some buildings you sell. You sell some buildings too,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So tell me about those first.
Well, I didn't bring that up. It's kind of a little bit of a offshoot of my maple business. I got into over where I live in Marshfield, but that's like 15 miles east of where I grew up. But I go out to my shop and everything. That's back on the family farm property.
The world
But
headquarters
the world
is a family
headquarters is
property.
on the family farm.
Nice.
And very, very big Amish population out in that area. Very big Amish population. And I just, like I said, I have one guy, Albert, that works with me. And I've just gotten to know some of those people. And I ended up kind of linking up with a builder who builds cabins and sheds. And I've essentially taken on the role of the salesman
Mm-hmm.
for his company, for his cabin building company.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I make videos, to show them and show how it's done or show what people can get and buy and the features. And so, yeah, I sell them, quote people, show them, kind of like a salesman for Amish cabins is what I do in that regard too. So, yeah, it's another thing I've thrown into my hat. And, another thing I do. They're nice cabins. I mean, I would like to buy one day. They're great for like putting on an up north property or a vacation home somewhere, or even some people who have looking to downsize and just want something small are living in them. I mean, it's a little house is what it is.
Yeah, I'd live
And
in
with
one.
really super great quality.
Yeah, the craftsmanship is awesome.
Yeah.
I was completely unaware of the Amish cabins until I have a buddy who put a couple of them up down in the driftless area, and I love trout fishing. So I stayed in his Amish cabins a couple times. It's like, dude, I need one of these. This has got to be in my future plans here somewhere. I kind of figured it was that, and then hearing you tell the story about the Amish guy who helps you out, I was like, okay, this is starting to come to life.
Yeah.
But that leads me to my ultimate question. Although I could talk about how cool Amish cabins are all day long because they do such a good job. Actually, one story about that before we let the Amish thing go. That buddy, he was on our last trout trip. He was going to have an Amish garage put up across the road from his Amish cabin. And I got to go along for the experience. I got to go along to talk to the Amish and do the down payment and the plans and stuff. And it is everything that I would have expected to be the most wonderful, informal thing that I've ever seen, dude. They're drawing up plans on a chest freezer, and he cuts them the check, and they're talking about if you talk to like a whatever quote unquote normal home builder, like these conversations are going to take 6 days and 7 people are going to have to sign off on it. And this dude is writing in pencil on his chest freezer. He's like, oh yeah, you want it this length? This length? Yep. My buddy cuts him the check and we leave. And the best experience, I was like, so this is it. Is this how you built your Amish cabin too?
Mhm.
And he's like, yeah, this is the process. This is how you do it. Makes me want an Amish cabin even more, dude. It was awesome. But my main question, back to where I was getting at with this, is now, how do you determine, like, so I'm cut from a similar cloth where, like, I'm entrepreneurial in mindset.
Mhm.
I see opportunity in everything. How do you determine which ones you say yes to and which ones you don't? Is it back to the enjoyment thing you were talking about earlier? Or how do you decide where to put your energy?
That I think I have a hard time with, because kind of the way that I grew up and was raised, you want to help everyone out, you know? So I have a hard time saying no to people. And that's something that I've had to work on and probably still need to, you know, just like, okay, you're putting too much on your plate, you know, you're doing too much. So yeah, I mean, that's been difficult for me over the years, is doing too much or trying to take too much on. And I've kind of gotten to the point where, you know, I'm at this point in life, I'm trying to, you know, eliminate a little bit, get better with that. Yeah, I mean, I guess it would be, I wouldn't want to do something I don't enjoy. I mean, like right now, I have a hard time finding time for my hobbies outside of my work, you know, and I wish I'd had more time for that. So that's something I think going forward here, I'd like to try to figure out a way to spend more time doing some other things besides working, you know?
Yeah. Isn't it weird how that comes with entrepreneurship?
It is. It's very much, probably everybody that is an entrepreneur would say the same thing.
It's weird though, because you do it with these delusions of grandeur of being like, okay, I'm going to set my own schedule. I'm going to be able to do this, this, and this. Well, I'll tell you what, I got way more time away when I was a 9-to-5.
Yeah. Yes, that's it. That's true.
Like, and I don't know. It's weird to think about, but I think it's, at least when you do it the way you're talking and describing, if you do something you're passionate about, it makes it less, you don't need to get away as bad.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What are those?
Totally.
What are your passions that you wish you did?
Well, my hobbies outside of,
Yeah.
like for most people, the maple syrup is a hobby, but for me,
right.
it's my job. I guess like I like traveling a little bit. You know, I'd like to do more of that. You know, one of the things I'd love to do, this is something I want to do, is eventually drive road trip all the way to the Arctic Ocean up at the, you know, I think it's Barrow or whichever, Dead Horse, Alaska.
Okay.
Yeah, like I want to go, I would love to do that. Go all the way up there. You can do it. You know, you want to do it during the winter.
Yeah.
But that'd be something I'd like to, I like kind of trips like that.
Okay.
So that'd be something I'd like to do. And then I have a really crazy, stupid addiction to 1980s and 1990s three-wheelers and four-wheelers.
Nice.
Yeah, I love those machines. I grew up around riding them, and to guys my age, and if you were a country kid, I would say a lot of people, that was a big thing back then. You know, that culture and that whole little niche sport of riding ATVs. And I have a big addiction to collecting them and not getting to ride them a whole lot, but you know, there's a whole little thing behind that. You know, like some people collect cars, you know, and into the, you know, muscle cars or whatever, or people are into motorcycles or whatever. There's a whole community that is into these, you know, they're called vintage now, you know, ATVs, you know, 2 strokes and that type of thing. And I like working on them. I like doing stuff like that, but I don't have enough time to do it. I would like to do more of that and be able to ride them. Me and my son like to go trail riding a little bit, you know, and stuff like that. But
okay.
Take them out on the trails. We're always the most popular people when we go out there because everybody's like, whoa, my uncle had one of those, or my dad had that when he was, you know, because this is all stuff from the 80s mostly.
I flipped
So,
one of those 3-wheelers one
yeah.
time and broke my arm, the death machines.
My brother died on that. It's like,
Yeah, man. That's cool. Yeah. You ever get into the Outdoor Boys, that first hobby? You know the Outdoor Boys on YouTube? You ever seen that?
oh.
He stopped making videos.
Oh, yeah, yes. It was a guy who quit a little while back.
Yep, he did those
Yeah.
wild excursions across
Yeah.
Alaska. He would build those little houses in the snow and stuff. That's what I think of, because he would always have his video going driving on this 2-lane road just straight north in Alaska, wind
Yeah.
beating down, snow.
Nah, something about that's attractive to me. I like remote places.
Me too.
Checking them out.
Me too.
Mhm.
That's man, I've said that a lot in my life. That's where I feel most alive.
Mhm.
That's what initially drew me
For
to
sure.
maple syrup, actually. Is what initially drew it to me.
Yes.
Was another excuse to get outside in the wilderness. And the deeper I go outside, it's weird, but it's the more I feel like it's where I
Exactly.
should be.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I love that whole feeling, and just like you've been somewhere, going somewhere that not many people have,
Mhm.
you know? I like that. I like just those types of things, like most recently here, it became a kind of a popular thing on social media, the 50th anniversary of the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald.
Yeah,
But I've been obsessed with that since I was a kid. I love the Edmund Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
I always like learning about it, reading about it, and stuff like that. So
Yep.
those types of things I have always had an interest in.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I don't know. There's a feeling unmatched. And you know what kind of comes along with that might be relevant to this conversation is, I think, at least for me, being like I said, cut from a similar cloth, I'm always thinking of how I can be an entrepreneur in a different way, or like do something else that can sustain my life. For some reason, that completely shuts off when I'm in the wilderness. Like that little ear thing in my mind. And maybe, I've never really thought about it before, but maybe that's part of the reason I love it so much, is that it does shut off. And it's like, I don't feel this incessant need to make progress anymore. I just am comfortable with being there. You know what I mean?
Oh, totally. I mean, I think kind of what you described, maybe on a little bit different tangent with what I'm going to say here, is, yeah, I feel like we've gotten away from that so much, society, so much. And I totally understand that because of this thing, I'm able to, it really has helped me make a living and all that stuff. But I think we need to get off our phones more.
Mhm.
I mean, and get back into nature and get back into, just experiencing life in front of us instead of through a screen.
Mhm.
And, I'm going to sound like an old guy now saying stuff like this, but I mean, I grew up and, graduated high school and became a young man before we even had internet, essentially. Like my whole life brain was kind of formed in that era. And I just see it's so different now. Like the way the world is now with my kids who really have never known anything but, having all this media and all the time. And it's good for, information and stuff, but I feel like, we've gotten to where we need to limit it, and like one-on-one, talk with people, experience life with people, and just, get out in nature, get out, do what you enjoy. I feel like we've lost a lot of that.
Mhm.
That's the type of thing is not as common anymore. And I feel like we just need to live in the present, in the moment more, and not through a device,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I think about that a lot, man. I think
Yeah.
about it a lot, and it's probably even more so now I do with the rise of AI, and I like, combined with that, I think about it a lot, how it's changing how our brains work.
Ex-
Like, the a good example of this, I was talking about with my wife about this the other day, where I call it one of my dad's superpowers is that like he can drive somewhere and just like know the road names and where to turn and
Yeah.
landmarks and stuff. And my brain just doesn't work like that because all I do is put it in Google Maps.
Right.
And then it takes me there. I follow the blue arrow. And like that at scale happens too, right? Like I'm sure our recall is worse as a society because of Google.
Mm-hmm.
And like our problem solving and creativity is going to become worse because of AI because it can do things for us.
Yeah.
So it's like a muscle, man. If you don't work it, you're going to adapt and do things in a different way. And I think about that a lot. I mean, we have a 4-year-old right now, and I think that it's like warp speed development, right? Like you get to see these things in front of your eyes.
Right.
And I can see him if we try to limit screen time a ton. Like he watches Little Bear from the 90s once in a while. That's about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I get to see him develop into this like curious little problem solver that's like engaging with the world around him. And then it's not to disparage other parents because I know how it is and it's completely fine. Like my way isn't the way, it's just how I'm doing it.
Right.
But I see like kids on tablets and like you remove the tablet and it's like a paradigm shift of like they're in the third dimension,
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, man. It's certainly important to find whatever balance is there with that because it's not going away. We need it. And I actually think about it the opposite way. I think about it the opposite way sometimes of like, okay, fast forward 5 years from now and my little dude's going to be not as adept on navigating a little tablet because he doesn't use one. And maybe that becomes relevant in his job and he's behind because of that. So it's like, 6 in one hand, half dozen in the other.
I don't think you'd have to worry about that too much.
Probably
I think
not.
they'd pick that up pretty quick.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. No, I totally get what you're saying though. Yeah, I mean, like I go to the gym and work out 3 or 4 nights a week and I go in there old school. I don't take a phone. I don't take any music, nothing.
Yeah.
I'm just in there working out, listening to the weights and this, that, the clanging and all that. But it's like everybody in there is on a device or, it's like, man, you're just making my workout take longer because between your sets, you're sitting there like this all the time and it's taking you twice as long. You know what I'm saying? Just get in there and get out. That's what I do. But yeah, everybody's looking down, looking at something. And it's just like, I don't know that I still feel like that's too much. And I wish it wasn't that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a really interesting thing, man. There's no silver bullet answer, but I think, and you know what's weird is I would venture to guess that the majority of people agree with the sentiment.
I do too.
But there's this like, I don't know if there's certainly an addictive quality to social media and technology in general,
Mm-hmm.
but it's almost like, it's like cake or anything else, man. It's like, it's not good. But you just do it anyway.
Right.
Totally. If you don't make the conscious decision not to. And I don't know, man, with AI, how that could change how we function as a society is really,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if concerning is the way it is concerning to me, but it's uncomfortable, no doubt.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, AI, you see stuff that's AI generated and I mean, I don't know how much of this is accurate, but it's like, it's got all these people liking it and all these people commenting on it and stuff like that. And it's like, that's AI people, like if you're going to at least like something and follow something real or it's original, it's a creator, it's a real person.
Yeah.
That is scary. It's just like, this is, creating all this fake accounts and people are following that. And I don't get that. I don't understand why you would want to, but you're talking on a larger level, AI literally like changing society and replacing jobs and all that,
Yeah, changing how our brain works.
Oh, for sure. How our brain works. And yeah, I mean, I've heard people talk about it, and it's kind of, you hear all these different predictions and, way things are going to be. It's scary. Will it all come true? I don't know. But it's a lot there that unknown. And it's coming at you so fast.
Yeah.
Everybody, it's all coming at us all very, very fast.
Oh yeah. AI's not going to tap a tree.
Yeah, no. I think I'm safe for a while.
Yeah, for a little bit. Yeah. It's
at least I'll be gone from the earth before that happens.
Yeah, man. And that's what gives me some comfort in it. It's funny, it's kind of morbid, but like I don't even care for me, like whatever. I'm almost 40, like life's gonna happen to me now.
Mm-hmm.
But I think about what's gonna happen to him. He's 4.
Yeah.
What's he gonna develop into, and what's what's the world gonna be like, and are we still gonna have people that yearn for that connection to nature? Because I think it's really important. And actually, that's kind of a fun thing we could talk about today too, because not only have we become removed from that, we're removed from how we get our food.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
we're removed. It doesn't happen much anymore, thank goodness. But like I've had a handful of conversations in my life with people. Like I'm an avid hunter. I like hunting a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had conversations with people that aren't vegans or vegetarians that don't support hunting.
Okay.
And I'm like, well, that's a really wild stance to take. And
Sure.
It's almost always because of the connection. They're comfortable with it, but it's because they don't have to see it, Well, I mean, I want to be careful with my words here because we need to make food too. But if you have a being that is a chicken in a 6x6 cage that lives its life in there until it's eaten, and a deer that lives its life out on the landscape that I harvest with the best intentions that I can ethically,
Mm-hmm.
which one of those lives lived a better life? And that's a hard question for that vegan or vegetarian to answer, or the non-vegan, the meat eater that doesn't hunt to answer.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
So I don't know. And I think that circles into maple syrup, because how many people, like, it's not take for granted because they don't know, but like how many people don't know the hours of labor that went into that jar of thing?
Right. I don't, most people don't, especially when you get out of the upper Midwest around the Great Lakes region here where it's produced, or up in the Northeast. I mean, a lot of people wouldn't have a clue,
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's a small industry. It's a niche product. So that even makes it more so kind of, unknown. I mean, hopefully I'm helping that out a little bit with, we do have our website. So we, get website sales. And I noticed that the orders, a lot of them will go to, different, all over the country, really, different places. So, where it's a non-local product, it's easier, in my opinion, to sell it because, I mean, obviously you just don't have as much competition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And because you're certainly right from earlier. You talked about like the exponential growth of the maple industry.
Yeah.
Even when I started, man, that was, well, not all that long ago, not as long as you. It was probably like 9 years ago. I started making maple syrup, something like that. It was kind of a weird thing to do. Like, not a lot of people knew about it. And now, at pretty much everywhere I can go, it's become a talking point for me. Like, I'll try to weave in maple syrup if I'm in a group conversation, and somebody will have a brother that does it.
My brother does that, or my uncle. Yeah, it is. It's very much that way now, especially, in Wisconsin. Like I said, it's a pretty fairly common hobby, at all levels, from a few trees up to, much bigger.
Yeah. That's kind of a cool thing. Scaling how you have, I know you said your dad still does it with you, and it seems like you have your family around a lot. Do you still get as much of that as you would like that communal togetherness of what maple syrup is. Like everybody, it's a very connecting thing. Like everybody chips in, we're dumping buckets, we're boiling. It's actually kind of what you were just getting at a little while ago about it. It really connects people, I think. Do you still get that as much as you would like?
The way we are now?
Yeah.
Not as much. I mean, I'll be honest, it's more go, and try to, keep ahead of it.
Yeah.
From where it was when it was just the buckets on the trees and hanging out with grandpa and dad. No, it's not that way, but you get a little bit of it with my dad still there and doing as much as he can, my son when he can. But it's not very leisurely paced anymore. It's more, this is the go time. We got to take advantage of it. We got to get every bit we can, because the season only lasts sometimes less than 4 weeks.
Oh yeah.
3 to 5 weeks probably on average, more or less, probably a little bit over a month.
Yep.
So yeah, no, it's not that way anymore for us, but it's still a family run operation for the most part, and a small business with a long history.
Yeah. The mindset's just changed a little bit.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think you'd be tough to get away from that because it kind of comes with it. There's just more riding on it. It becomes there's more pressure on it. One more thing I want to talk about. Have you like thought about, or is it crossed your mind to make it experiential, or do you do this already? Like, does anybody come and look at your maple operation to just because they're interested about how maple syrup is made? Or do you curate that experience?
Yeah, I mean, we do. I mean, it's kind of a thing where during the season, we are right on Highway 10. So if you look us up, we're right on Highway 10, which is pretty well-traveled highway, US Highway 10. So we'll just get a lot of people stop. I wouldn't say we get people that stop in during the season. They see the steam rising from the stacks, and they kind of want to take a look around, and that. The last year we did not do this. Just it was hard to put it together, and we just had to postpone it. Hopefully we can do it this March. But prior to that, we had something called Maple Madness, and it was just a 1-day, open house where people could come in and check out the operation and see how it was going. And my son even took people that wanted to like one of the sugar bushes and showed them the setup, and how all that works. And it was just it was kind of nice. We had some other local vendors in there selling their stuff, like candles and, pottery type stuff and things of that nature. And we had free samples of foods that included maple syrup as an ingredient. You're a maple as an ingredient, maple sugar, maple syrup, whatever. So we do that. One thing that's kind of cool with being out there in the public, I guess, with my business, putting out the content and stuff, is had given me opportunities like this, today that what we have. And I've also, had opportunities to go talk to like 4-H groups and be a guest reader at elementary schools and, different things like that. Talk to, business groups or whatever, more in my local area. Actually, one time I went to Kentucky to the Kentucky last year, the Kentucky Maple Syrup Producers Association annual meeting, and I was the keynote speaker.
Really?
Yeah. So
that's awesome, man.
Yeah. You don't think of Kentucky as it's not a huge state, it's not, but they do have a little maple syrup industry going on there. But it's given me those opportunities, which is cool. And like I said, that kind of goes back to like experience and stuff.
Yeah.
Like I was excited to come over here and do this because, yeah, I've done my, like these Facebook lives, YouTube lives or whatever, but I've never like been to a real like podcast like this before. So I was excited to always try something new, something different, and, learn about it. And so that's been, a cool thing is I've got opportunities to do things like that, talk to other people, teach them about it. I've had videos. I don't do the YouTube content's a little bit, it started out really maple related where I was just showing how to put up tubing and
Mm-hmm.
how to do this and that. And those were some pretty well-viewed videos for that. I know a lot of people learned how to put up maple
Yeah.
tubing from some of my videos back in the day, and they still I get people contacting me, asking me questions about it, because of that, like advice or whatever. And that's kind of cool, to see that people enjoyed what you did.
Absolutely, yeah. So you get to share it frequently
Yeah.
with the world, yeah. And I think that's that's just as valuable. And it's so hard. That's something that's just crossed my mind since I started doing it, because I always have buddies that are like, let me know when you're boiling.
They want to help you out.
Yeah, they want to see what happens. So I know there's a draw for it there, but I think a lot of it just stems back to it's a month of chaos. How are you going to try to add more chaos into the chaos?
And that's what's tough. That's why this last year, that open house event thing that we had been trying to establish as a yearly thing, it didn't happen because we just felt like, oh man, we couldn't take it on this year. It's just got too far behind, didn't plan ahead enough.
Yeah.
Would have been nice to, but hopefully we can start getting ahead of the curve this year and have it again.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'll put the word out there for that,
Yeah. Yeah, I think that'd be cool. I see the, whatever it is, the apple orchards. There's a lot of apple orchards here around Green Bay that make it very experiential. They do a little corn maze and they make cider donuts and just all this little stuff together. Maple could certainly do that, but it takes an apple all summer to grow.
Yep.
It takes one overnight for that sap to drop out of the tree, and then it's running over if you don't have enough storage.
Right.
So you better get it boiled. Man. Well, it's cool. I appreciate you coming on and sharing your story, man.
Yeah, and thanks for having me. Really enjoyed it. I do have to say one thing.
Yeah, what's up?
I didn't mention my daughter Haley. I got to give Haley a shout out. I said Jack, so I got to say Haley.
Yeah,
and she always does a great job with the videos that she does with me. She's better than I am. So.
Didn't I see one that? God, didn't she make a video about joking about how she knew something about social media and you didn't want to do it, but she was like, no, this is the right thing to do. I can't remember.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Yeah. That's gotta be, man, you want to talk about living the dream. What does the dream mean? And enjoying what you do.
I think that's what it is. Yeah.
That is it, dude. That is.
I think so.
It's kind of weird calling you dude because you are the dude. But it is, man. That's what life is about. Whether it's around a 2x4 flat pan this flat pan was a death trap. We used to use it. I just had a flashback of it. Me and my dad, we boiled in batches and we would lift this thing off. One wrong move and one of us is torched.
We did the same thing. Yeah.
Whether it's that or what you do, that thing of your daughter joking about, this is the video we should make, Dad.
Mm-hmm.
It never would have came to life without Maple,
Right.
without the thing. And, I don't know, man, but I do know that you're right. That's what we need more of.
Yeah.
I know that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you had to get her a shout out too.
Yeah. I couldn't not do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I wish you the best of luck. There's probably, if there's 365 days in a year, there's probably 180 of them that I envy what you're doing. And there's probably 180 of them that I'd be no way in hell would I bite that off. So.
For sure.
Good luck, man. Thank you.
Well, thanks for having me in today. Really enjoyed it. And, anytime.
Cool.